Lemon at the CNN World Headquarters in Atlanta. I'll see you back here next week. Have a great week, everyone.
Our children enter the world with more than 200 chemicals in their bodies. They are born pre-polluted. What impact is this toxic mix having on the health of our kids? Dr. Sanjay Gupta investigates. CNN's Toxic Childhood starts right now.
For life today is so much more pleasant. Yes, it's good to be alive today.
It's 1947, Anytown, USA.
No doubt you've heard of DDT, jet propulsion, the atom bomb. In short, the better-known wonders of the modern world.
I'm here to take a look at the latest wonder product, the pesticide DDT.
It's a handful of concentrated death.
That sounds dangerous.
Well, this new insect destroyer contains a lot of DDT, not just a little. Its DDT content is even higher than government specifications.
But it's nothing to worry about, right? After all, they said it was safe.
Used right, it is absolutely harmless to humans and animals.
You could use it anywhere in the home.
It's perfect for ridding Fido of those unwelcome house guests.
It's even safe around children. A generation of new pesticides, liquids, powders, sprays, everywhere. Look, we all know how this turned out. The promise of safety was completely untrue. And good evening, I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta. That film clip was a 1947 version of an infomercial, and it was actually shown in department stores to try and sell the new pest killer, DDT. They did seem so naive back then about the dangers. But you know what? There is evidence that we're starting to repeat the same pattern, using chemicals that we're told are safe today, only to find out that they're not. So tonight in Toxic Childhood, we ask questions. How are common chemicals impacting the health of our children, and what can we do to minimize the risks for our kids? As a reporter, a doctor, and most importantly, as a father of three, I believe it's time for some real answers. So we begin tonight with the very latest science that reveals a broad mix of chemicals now entering our children's bodies before they're even born. Here in the womb, enveloped in darkness and warmth, a baby's life begins in earnest. It is a sacred space, pristine, insulated, more than 9 months of safe refuge from the world outside. You imagine a baby sort of nice and safe and tucked away in the womb, impervious to all the assaults that occur on the body. You say not so fast?
Not so fast. The placenta is doing its work as well as it can, but it is not a perfect barrier. And many chemicals do pass relatively easily across the placenta.
Chemicals? In here? Babies are born every day with not one, not two, but hundreds of toxic substances. In a study by the Environmental Working Group, a nonprofit environmental advocacy organization, an average of 232 chemicals were measured in the cord blood of 10 babies born late last year. Now, there's no science yet that demonstrates conclusive cause and effect between this mix of toxins our children are born with and particular health problems. But many leading pediatricians believe it's precisely what we do not know that makes this so troubling.
For 80% of the common chemicals in everyday use in this country, we know almost nothing about whether or not they can damage the brains of children, the immune system, the reproductive system, the other developing organs. It's really a terrible mess we've gotten ourselves into.
The list of chemicals measured in cord blood is, well, long. PBDEs, flame retardants in computers, televisions, mattresses, furniture. BPA in food cans, bottle tops, hard plastics. PFCs, water repellents used to make non-stick products, food packaging, carpeting, furniture. Phthalates, found in a wide array of products from children's toys to cosmetics. But how do they make their way from out here to in here? The answer may be inside this backpack. I began investigating 2 years ago.
All the air that you're breathing in will be filtered in through this device.
These are adjustable straps.
All right, let's adjust them.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect model for the lung, but it is a good indication of what's in the air that the women are breathing and what could potentially be transferred to the fetus.
Dr. Frederica Pereira is 12 years into a landmark study at Columbia University Center for Children's Environmental Health, following hundreds of pregnant women as they navigate these city streets, measuring their exposure to toxic substances, vehicle emissions, pesticides, secondhand smoke. Each one wears a backpack with a tube that acts like a lung, sucking in the same air that they're breathing. What researchers found was stunning.
It surprised me when we analyzed the air samples and found that 100% of them had detectable levels of at least one pesticide and the air pollutants that we were interested in, every single one.
100% had pesticides, pollutants that scientists were testing for, eventually making their way from mom into the womb. Now, it'd be one thing if these chemicals were innocuous, but studies in both animals and humans suggest they may not be.
These chemicals can have effects on brain development.
All of that forces us to examine the safety of the safe haven.
I hope this goes well, getting the message out.
Molly Jones-Gray cares a lot about maintaining that safe haven.
So you've been feeling good?
She's a midwife and an advocate.
Mothers-to-be, such as myself at the time, can make many choices to ensure a healthy pregnancy. We can take prenatal vitamins. We can eat a healthy diet. We can avoid cigarettes and alcohol. We can exercise. But of all the choices that we are able to make, we do not have a choice in this one. We cannot protect our babies from the powerful influence and toxic chemicals on their developing bodies.
I usually say don't put anything on a baby's skin that you wouldn't eat. If you can't recognize any of the ingredients, if you can't pronounce them, probably not a good idea to put on our skin.
Gray knows a lot about pregnancy, a lot about babies, and a lot about miscarriages.
Losing early pregnancies was really hard to go through.
To have that ripped away from you, it puts you in an emotional state that you can't really describe. And you wonder why. You know, is it something that I did?
For us, it led to this huge search into, is there anything that we can do differently? Is there anything that we can do better?
Please.
Hi.
Molly and her husband did everything they could think of. They ate organic. They avoided fish with mercury. When she finally got pregnant with her son Paxton, she had a blood test that found high levels of mercury. That's a heavy metal that can cause brain damage. Paxton, fortunately, is fine.
Somehow my son was being exposed to mercury, and that's a weight to carry because I feel like it's our jobs as parents to protect them, to care for them, to nurture them, and to keep them out of harm's way.
12 years into the backpack study, and the results are sobering.
15% of children have at least one developmental problem. We've seen relationships between the air pollutants and chromosomal abnormalities. A red flag that there has been some change that could increase risk of cancer later on.
None of that sounds very good.
No, it doesn't sound good.
Could it be the chemicals? Well, for now, we just don't know. And joining me now is Dr. Ed Clark. He's chair of pediatrics at the University of Utah. He's also a lead investigator with National Children's Study. They're going to follow 100,000 children from the womb through the age of 21, searching out some of these answers about the impact of the environment on health, including the risks from all these various chemicals. Welcome to the show. Thank you.
Great to be here.
You just heard that. Over 200 chemicals found in umbilical cord blood. You know, I have 3 kids. I mean, should I be alarmed? I mean, most people are alarmed just hearing that, but how big a concern is it?
It's really a concern. And this is the first validation of the number of chemicals that our children are being exposed to in utero. And it's not surprising. Our environment is changing. This is a measure of it.
You know, it's funny, we talk a lot about the various things that are happening to our kids, a rise in asthma rates, a rise in some neurological things. Obesity is something that people talk about a lot. And you think it may have to do with the environment. Obesity, for example, how would that be?
Our children are becoming fatter. And it's not as simple as video games and fast food. There's something else more fundamentally going on. And some of those things could be driven by chemicals that mimic those early signals that determine how fat is laid down in our bodies.
Do we know this, or are we sort of guessing and hypothesizing here? What do